Hello, I'm Jean-Nicolas Maillard from Steptoe and Johnson in Brussels. We have the pleasure today of having with us Andrea Coscelli, who is Executive Director at the UK Competition and Markets Authority. Andrea, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks. Yes, so my role at the Competition and Markets Authority, I'm responsible for markets, mergers, and our work in regulated sectors. I basically lead on sort of half of the portfolio. There is a counterpart to me, Michael Grenfell, who runs the enforcement portfolio, which is essentially Article 101, 102, and criminal cartel. The way they see that the CMA is set up, we have a board, and so it's myself, two other executive directors, and the chief executive, and then 8 non-executive directors. So we're set up similarly to a company with a minority of executive directors, and the rest are non-executives on our board.
Very good. 2014 and 2015 have been obviously very intense years for the CMA, for the nascent CMA, which took over from the OFT in 2014. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about the transition process that involved?
Yes, so I joined literally a few months before we went live with the merger. So in the UK, there were 2 separate agencies, the Office of Fair Trading and the Competition Commission. The Office of Fair Trading was doing essentially most of the work. The Competition Commission was doing the sort of phase 2 cases. So a selection of cases would be referred from the Office of Fair Trading to the Competition Commission, where a panel supported by staff will take a decision. There was a long discussion in Parliament in the UK about how to integrate the 2 agencies. There was a very strong view that people really liked the separation and the independence of the 2. And so in the end, there was a decision to integrate the 2, create a single agency. But in a way, it's almost thinking about a single agency almost as an umbrella with the 2 agencies sitting underneath it. So the exercise for us was very much to essentially achieve 2 things. One was to keep the show on the road, because obviously, it was Office of Fair Trading and Competition Commission until the end of March, and then the day after will be the new agency. But as you know, particularly in the mergers area, you keep receiving mergers. You have statutory timetables, you have to do the cases. On enforcement, obviously, we had a number of live cases. So we had to make sure that essentially we didn't drop any balls, and the case continued. And I must say, we've been very successful with that now for almost 2 years after the event. I think that was really our core focus, and I think that worked really well. The second one was obviously the overall integration, so the cultural integration of the people and the processes, and trying to make sure that everything works. So there was quite a lot of work done to produce policy guidance and guidelines, work out how we worked. And again, I think that part worked pretty well. And the integration, in many ways, I think has been very successful. We now have a single agency, feels very much like a single agency. We have lots of new people who are not in the previous agencies. People don't really think this person was in one agency or the other agency was a new person. It feels very much a new integrated agency.
Very good. Well, maybe we are at the juncture between 2016 and 2015, so it could be a good time to look back at 2015, and if you could tell us a little bit more what have been the landmarks really for 2015, the most, in your view, what has been the most important achievements of the CMA, and most important maybe cases or initiatives that the CMA took, bearing in mind that the CMA has always been very much at the forefront of enforcement in Europe.
Yeah, so it's been a very busy year. In many ways, it's been a very busy year on quite a few big ongoing cases. So in a sense, 2016 will be very much about finishing and delivering on a number of cases. So 2015, for quite a few of the big cases, was very much about progressing them. So we have 2 very large, what we call market investigations. One in the energy sector, very much across wholesale and retail. And the other one in banking, across both retail, consumer, and SMEs, so the business side. Both of these investigations are in their final sort of lap. They're both due to conclude in 2016. Energy will have to finish by June, and banking slightly after that. So that has been very much focus of work and will be a focus of delivery. On the merger side, we've been very active. We had some very large transactions. We just finished the BT EE merger, so we had the largest fixed operator buying the largest mobile operator in the UK. The transaction was cleared after a long, detailed phase 2 investigation. It was cleared a matter of a few weeks ago. And it was quite interesting for us also because it was the first case of a fast-track reference to phase 2 in the CMA. So it was one of the things which is quite interesting about the CMA is that the rules are that in phase 2, you have a new independent panel of decision makers. So essentially, if you are referred from phase 1 to phase 2, we kind of start all over again because you have 4 or 5 decision makers who take the decision. And so in a sense, you know what the final part of a merger is, which is this kind of 6-month assessment in the phase 2. What happened quite a lot in the past was that the Office of Fair Trading will do phase 1, and in some of the complex cases, we spend quite a lot of time in pre-notification into phase 1, and then refer to phase 2. So end-to-end would be a fairly long period. For us, because we're a single agency, I'm very focused on the end-to-end process. And so when the cases are very complex and we think there potentially are issues, so we think the likelihood of a clearance in phase 1, either without remedies or with remedies, is pretty low. We think it is very much in the interest of the companies to ask for a fast-track reference to phase 2, because essentially you take out quite a lot of the duplication that way. So that happened with BTE, and it's just recently happened with another big case, which is currently in phase 2, which is Ladbrokes, Gala-Coral, which are 2 of the large betting shops in the UK. And it's an interesting case because the same transaction was blocked in 1998, and obviously the world has moved on, so we will see what happens on this one. But it's a highly concentrated market. It was a complex transaction, so it made sense to do that. So mergers, we've been very happy, we've been very busy, lots of activity. And on the enforcement side, we've been pretty happy with a couple of cases we've concluded quite quickly with settlements, which is certainly something we're happy to do. But we need a few more cases. So I think that's one of the areas we're focusing on a lot for 2016, which is to increase a bit the size of the portfolio on the 101, 102 side.
Very good. Anything else that companies, I'm aware that companies representatives from companies will look at this video in the next few weeks. Anything else on the outlook for 2016? Anything they should be warned about or that they should expect from the CMA's action?
No, I think, as I said, main focus is going to be on delivery of enforcement cases, on finishing these large market investigation references, and certainly on mergers, I think, to continue the very positive trend in 2015. Again, obviously at the moment the markets are fairly volatile, but in 2015 there were quite a few large transactions which essentially are all working their way through now. So we have some fairly large mergers in pre-notification at the moment, which also will certainly require quite a lot of work and effort on our side. Very good. In a few minutes we will talk on a panel together on the collaboration between antitrust authorities in Europe, within the European Competition Network or outside of the European Competition Network. Anything outstanding in 2015 or 2016 on your relationship with other authorities or with the Commission? The relationship is very good. It's very good with the Commission, it's very good with the national agencies. There's a lot of happening in terms of bilateral discussions, multilateral discussions with ECN, multilateral discussions with the Commission. The relationships are very good at all levels, so at the level of the heads and throughout essentially the entire structures. I'm pretty positive about the picture there. I think we certainly care a lot about outcomes for UK consumers. And just to give you an example, there's a very large merger in Brussels now between 3 and O2 in the mobile sector. So we went public on the fact that we wanted to look at the deal ourselves, so we asked for it. The Commission, for a variety of reasons, decided that because of a sort of wave of similar transactions in Europe, it made sense for them to retain it. And we are working very well and pretty closely with the Commission and with the sector regulator, Ofcom, on that transaction. So again, even something where from the outside you could say, well, there was a sort of a disagreement in public between authorities. The reality is the relationship is very strong and we're working very well together. So.
Wonderful. Well, Andrea, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.